almost like reverse gas model is a super good idea instead of passing hundreds of dollars of charges along on each individual transaction to your poor users.
It's very strange that that's a working model.
The line I've been saying is that Ethereum has broken your brain about how these systems should work. Welcome to the Neurotic Podcast, the Internet Computer Podcast with Jesse and Kyle. This is episode 12. Welcome to episode 12, Kyle. How you doing?
Well, I'm a little on the tired side, Jesse. It's 7 a.m. here, and I know it's a little late for you. We're recording from opposite ends of the world today, right?
Yeah, it's 7 PM here. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm in a completely different location. I'm no longer broadcasting from my usual pod cave basement that we normally talk in California. I'm in Bali. I'm in Bali, Indonesia.
I thought there was something different behind you.
Obviously, it's a audio medium, so we'll just have to paint a word picture. But I am surrounded by sound deadening panels. I'm in a adorable little Skype booth. Kyle, I am broadcasting from a crypto co-working space in Canggu, Bali.
I love that you're in Bali. Second of all, I love that there's crypto co-working spaces there. That's I don't know. I haven't seen that in Maryland, so
Well, you just don't get out much, I think might be the
maybe
problem. Maybe they're everywhere.
maybe
And
they are. If they're not, I should be starting them.
yeah, I mean, there's a business I think you could be getting into. That's where people come by, they do their space, they get a coffee, they get a little, data analysis on the side. I think that could be good.
What about like a neurotic co-work or neurotic co-space?
Yeah.
Maybe we can brand out this neurotic brand. So
Jason and Kyle's co-working space. I like it.
it's got a big picture of you, and it says Jesse in big block letters.
But yeah, so I'm at the space is called T Hub. It's really cool. So there's actually a whole culture here of digital nomads working in Bali, and I'm actually here for NFT month, NFT Bali here, and then there are a bunch of supernova events going on here as well, which I'm super excited about. So I'm
Hmm.
presenting on some panels. We're doing like a sort of a Shark Tank style. We'll be hearing pitches and then promoting pitches up to the grants group as a part of Supernova. It's super exciting. I'm meeting developers everywhere I go. It's a really cool place. I'm really enjoying it.
That's really cool. So I mean, the Supernova event, obviously, with the it's a big giant hackathon lasting for almost 2 months, right?
Hmm.
But it sounds like in addition to that, there's a lot of these side, not projects, but side meetings going on, like you're saying, like a Shark Tank type meeting um, to really like hear a lot of ideas. So it's not just about, hey, deliver some code, build a product, but also, hey, let's also use this as an opportunity to kind of like drum up new ideas for maybe future hackathons or just even post hackathon activity.
Yeah, and I think it's good I was like literally right before starting sitting down to talk to you. I was chatting with a German developer in the space outside here, and he's actively looking for a job in Web3. So I guess if anyone's looking for an experienced front end developer with a heavy German accent that's living in Bali, I'd be happy to make an introduction for you. But when I talked to him about Supernova, and I was like, my advice is to come up with a really small, cool project and do it right away and get in it, you know,
Mhm.
and then submit to Supernova. So I think this is a good time to remind people you can apply to Supernova literally up until the last day. And so it's a really, really great way to get your foot in the door in the Web3 and internet computer space. There's never been a better time to do it. And it's really exciting. Have you been watching some of the content that's been coming out? It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and this is maybe a spoiler for later in the show, but we now have a search engine on the IC. So that's, I mean, yeah, a lot of the stuff coming out is just mind blowing. And again, the scale compared to last year's hackathon is just phenomenal. So it's yeah, I don't know. I'm partly speechless and partly kind of like, well, yeah, no, this is the growth we expected. So
It makes sense. This is what it's supposed to be doing. This is the hockey stick growth that we are all here for. No, you're right. In fact, people are finding projects that are not ready for prime time via the search engine, which I think is really exciting.
yeah,
But
yeah.
before we get to the search engine, let's check in on the neurotic draft. Have anyone scored any points yet on our draft?
No points. So last episode we did our little draft, and we each picked topics that we thought might happen, or at least were likely to happen. And the only update I think I'd give is, you took, I think it was 20.2% APR. You took the under on that for the 8-year gang a year from now, and we've already moved from 20.8 to 20.6 with some staking, which I think we'll probably dive deeper into later in the episode. But so you're probably getting closer to getting a point. But other than that, all the other ones seem like we're just gonna have to wait to start tallying up this scoreboard.
I like that you're so competitive that I don't need to track any of this, and
No.
I will just wait for you to inform me if I'm winning or losing. But I saw you threw up on, the Neurotic Pod Twitter account, @Neurotic Pod. Tweet at us, send us questions. We love to hear from you guys. You threw up a question of who you thought was going to win. And so I looked at it a couple days ago, and my favorite choice was winning, which was the show results button, which always makes me
Yes.
happy to see that. And at the moment, I was edging you out. But thankfully, sanity has prevailed, and the community thinks that you will win, which is honestly kind of my vote too. I definitely think you will win, and I would be this would be a major ego blow for you if I take this, because clearly, I'm jokes and opinion and just trying to put a fun podcast together, and you're here trying to do data analysis. So we might have to switch roles if I take this thing.
Well, sometimes it's the street smarts that wins, and
Street
so
smarts.
maybe that's what this is I sat and overanalyzed and got paralyzed with my analysis, and whereas you were just like, I'm gonna shoot from the hip and, um, I mean, make some pretty bad choices in the second round, but that's okay because you did have some great choices, down there, so I think it's gonna be close.
I just hope that by time we do it next year, I'll have a better understanding of what a good choice in the second round is versus a bad choice. And listen, Kyle, don't tell anyone else, but just between you and me, some of it is me just trying to make good podcasting
Yeah,
more
yeah.
than trying to win, if I'm
You're
being really honest.
and if I'm being honest, I'm more interested in winning
I think that's clear to
than this
everybody.
podcast being anything good.
No, as we established in Kyle's prisoner dilemma, Kyle murders the guards and the other prisoners, and then Shawshank Redemptions his way out and goes to live in Mexico.
Mhm.
Well, I got a little taco news. I'm taking a little taco break here in Bali. So, but I've got a little taco news that I've been working with Discover, and I'm super excited that Discover integration is live with our tacos now. So the
Cool.
taco portal, which is built on top of Discover, is now live. So if you hold a taco NFT in either your Stoic or Plug wallet, connect that to Discover, you get access to the private network. So I've got some cool stuff coming. We're going to be really trying to grow that community. And I'm just really having fun with this project. The mint keeps on just sort of churning along at a really steady
Mhm.
pace. People are minting some really cool tacos. In fact, just earlier today, someone minted a gold tortilla with a pod on
Are
it.
you
And
serious?
oh, yeah. I already
Oh
told them
gosh.
he really wanted a poked bot pinata and was
Uh-huh.
really going to the wall trying to get it. But I told him, what I tell everyone, which is you should come and fleece Kyle for all he's worth, because I promise he's gonna want it. He's gonna want it so bad, and
Uh,
you could get a good price for that.
I think I haven't dug too deep into it, but when I did look into it, I think that there is the ones that have been minted now have not had a lot of the Jason and Kyle pod sides. So I think that what's remaining in the mint is even more likely to mint a Jason and Kyle pod than what wasn't. So I'm really hoping that there's just a lot that get minted, and then people are like, "What the heck is this? This is crap," and they put it on the marketplace for cheap, and I'm going to buy up the entire supply.
I keep watching the secondary market, and I don't know, I'm really proud of this community because
Hmm.
I have a strict rule of no piñatas on the floor. That's my own personal code that I'm enforcing. So anyone that drops a piñata on the floor, I'm sweeping that up as soon as I see it. But I have not people are really holding on to their tacos.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just loving this community. And one of the things I really want out of the project is giving me an exciting and interesting way to integrate directly with other IC projects, because
Hmm.
my background is as an entrepreneur, and I love the marketing and the communication stuff, but I like building things. I like doing things. And so that's the thing with the tacos is it gives me a way to integrate and play in the space by doing. And as these things are coming online with Discover, and then NFT voting is coming, so we'll be able to do voting where your votes will actually be weighted based on your tacos. So yeah, I
Oh,
mean
cool.
you're pretty rich in tacos, so you'll be able to really throw your weight around. I actually look forward to some Kyle NNS style analysis of taco voting coming down the pipe here.
I can't wait to start swaying the vote in the taco portal. So I mean, and that's just to like I don't know that people really appreciate this, but like essentially you've got a taco NFT, right? You launched this on Entrepot using their self mint tool, right? Or did you end up
It
not using it? I
I
forget.
broke the self mint tool so
Okay.
badly that I think I sent Bob and I think I might have made Bob cry with how badly I
Mm.
broke the tool, and so in the end, because of that, we had to push it. I mean, they basically ported all my work in the self mint into their regular tool,
Gotcha.
but, building that stuff is really, really hard, and I'm excited, but it's
Yeah.
really cool some of the functionality they're building in there.
And so, but just by having this NFT, you can create a portal and discover pretty simply, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you're not a developer, right? You've got good technical skills, but you don't even really need good technical skills because it's just really like a 5 step process to get your NFT to be a gating NFT for a portal and discover. And so now you have the ability to link, gate your portal. You have the ability to do weighted on polls based on number of NFTs. Like there's some really cool functionality that um, is beyond Web 2, right? So this is just a simple, tiny use case that you can't really do in Web 2, but you can do in Web 3, and it's all internet computer. It's all within that ecosystem.
Yeah, that's right. So because I'm not a developer, the whole project was designed to be no code to really help me execute it too. And so the idea is I want people to rip me off. If you're listening to this and interested in launching an NFT project, I strongly encourage you to rip me off. Maybe don't rip off the taco idea, but come up with something that you're passionate about and follow the path and tool set that I used. Because, and in fact, I not joking over lunch today gave a small TED talk on how to build and explaining how to build an NFT project. And one of they're interested in building a wonton based NFT project, which I think is very
Oh,
exciting.
cool.
Connected to a wonton restaurant located here in Bali. The thing about an NFT project is, and you know this too with your work on your project, is that the art is the least important part. Art can be done. You can
Hmm.
find an artist, you can do the art. There's a lot of ways to do that, and the technology part is largely solved. It is the community building and the idea and the process development that is where all the challenges really lie in building an NFT project. It is all the soft
Hmm.
stuff that gives the value because just inherently, all it is a JPEG with an entry in the ledger, right? It's actually
Right.
building the community and building a market and building value into that actually makes it something that people want to hold and makes it worthwhile.
Beyond just the JPEG, right? You have like Bitcoin Flowers is probably the best example of this, where you can build a DAO around it. You can make your art actually. With the Bitcoin Flower, the petals, the color changes on the petals in like a rhythmic, circular motion, and the speed of that is based on the price of Bitcoin at the time. So there's like you're just cool little and if you remember Bitcoin Flowers also launched as a seed and then it kind of blossomed into a flower. That's something you're seeing now replicated with eggs in a lot of projects. So there's just there's beyond just JPEG. You can get some cool functionality into there.
Yeah, I'm still filled with regret that I don't own Bitcoin flowers. And you saw that start small and then it grew and now it sets the standard for floor price.
I minted a triple black and I sold it for like 70 ICP, and I remember thinking, who in their right mind paid 70 ICP for this triple black Bitcoin flower, which now would probably go for like 500 ICP or
Mm,
something like that. And I was
mm,
like,
mm.
so it's just funny to think like, here I am being like, what an idiot on the other end of this trade, and it turns out I was the idiot.
Well, when you look around the Bitcoin flower and can't figure out who the sucker is at the table,
It's
it's
me.
you. Speaking of figuring out what the next big thing is, have you played around with Kinnick, the new ICP search engine?
Yeah, so I mean, this kind of ties in the supernova, right? Because this is a
Mhm,
supernova project.
mhm.
Hey, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm gonna make it the public announcement that this is the first project to actually sell ad space on the IC, right? So I
Yeah,
know
well, I'm
entrepreneur.
glad you brought that up. So, are you looking at the Connect search here?
I'll pull it up right now. Okay,
Yeah. Go ahead and click on funny, the category search on the bottom there.
okay, hold on. Yeah, so on the very bottom, funny. There you are. Oh, you got. Look at that.
What are you seeing? Tell me what you're seeing here, Kyle.
I'm seeing some tacos. Not only am I seeing tacos, it's a GIF, right, of building up some taco NFTs here. Over here on the right, nice big giant ad.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Look at that.
Yeah, and so he'll be doing bidding, and different people can launch different projects. So go ahead and back out of there, and now go click through to the investor category.
Are you serious?
They hadn't sold any ad space for investor, and I thought that was totally unacceptable. So I bought a little ad space on investor.
You got the ICP analysis NFT in here. Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, originally I was gonna put up an ad for the podcast, and I thought, "No, no, 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 I have a better idea." So, yeah, so if you are searching and looking around investor, you are gonna get sold on, the investor. I went and copied and pasted. I butchered your writing, so I apologize.
Okay, that's all right.
I'm sure I introduced a few classic Jesse typos in the mix there to give it that special ICP Jesse flavor.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I think you did a great job. Man, this is awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. Well, I want everyone to know about this very important project, you know?
What is the ad model? So if I click the link, are you paying per click or are you paying per impression or?
I think he's gonna be so right now it's sort of in like a beta, bringing it online kind of thing.
Okay.
So they're sort of basically just sort of testing out different spaces. So I threw an elbow to get it in there.
Oh,
But it
nice.
will move. I think it's like a 2 week time, and then they're gonna move into a bidding system
Oh,
for
okay,
bringing
okay.
out. So maybe down the road this will get shoved aside in favor of a neurotic podcast advertisement instead.
I love working with you because you always have these like you have these surprises, right? So like you had the Jason and Kyle pod surprise on
Well,
your taco
that was
NFT,
a surprise for me
which was
too.
a double surprise. Um, but that's awesome, man. I don't know that I've ever I played around in Connect for I don't know like 5 or 10 minutes. Of course, the first thing I googled was my name and got no
Mm.
results, and I was like, "Bah, this thing's broken." Um, but no, actually this is awesome. I don't know that I've ever seen my name in an ad before. So
Aw.
thank
I
you.
don't know what anniversary you're supposed to buy, social advertising for, but, yeah, the problem is you're not publishing enough canisters. That's so the Kinnick is
Mm.
actually searching the front end of canisters, and so you can, if you pop so, if you search for taco NFTs, for example, you just get I mean, obviously, the front end of the taco NFT canister is just a little data set telling you that there are a bunch of NFTs here and gives a couple stats and tells you how many assets I've created and how many cycles I've burned. Cycle
Mm.
balance
Oh,
though.
that's right.
Still got 19,000 cycles, 19 trillion cycles in there. That's good.
How long is that going to last you?
I think forever. The tacos are not very computationally intensive, if I'm honest.
Pause there because 19 trillion cycles. That's going to be 19 SDR, and an SDR is like 60 cents to the dollar, 70 cents to the dollar. Am I getting that right? Or is it backwards? Is it a buck 30 or buck 40? Anyways, for
It
like the
should be like
cost of like
10 or 15 bucks because it's like a
okay,
one and a
yep,
half ICP minimum to spin up a canister, which is
right,
about,
okay.
I learned that on day 1 of Motoko boot camp, and then that's the last thing I learned that I'm not a developer. And so for me, there shouldn't be too much additional cost there.
So like 20, 30 bucks, you've got you basically funded your NFT project for the life of basically like the life of the internet. Because
Yeah, it's
19 trillion
almost
cycles,
like
you're not going to burn
reverse
through that.
gas model is a super good idea instead of passing hundreds of dollars of charges along on each individual transaction to your poor users.
It's very strange that that's a working model.
This
So
is a ongoing conversation I'm having. So as I'm meeting a lot of, I'm meeting a lot of Solidity developers, I'm meeting a lot of EVM developers here, and the line I've been saying is that Ethereum has broken your brain about how these systems should work. That web host is a utility, not it's a utility, not the
right, right.
product itself.
Like
And
a commodity, right? It should just be available for cheap.
yeah, it's like electricity or water. It's
Yeah.
just the basis, right? And so having hundreds of dollars of gas fees passed along to users totally is a broken system. And then what they ask is, well, I don't understand. How does mining work then? And I'm like, I am glad you asked because I'm going to tell you about something called the NNS now because it is such, and this is, again, I've been really trying to think about new ways of communicating what ICP is. And this is something I've been really drilling down on is people ask, where's the mining? How does the supply work? Right. Obviously, that's an area you care a lot about and do a lot of research in, and explaining that mining is replaced by staking and that we've moved the mining process from server hosting to create mining functionality into the DAO and the DAO mines, which actually means that this replaces Bitcoin mining, which again is this huge environmental problem, with participation in the DAO and the democracy. And that moves the profitability of being and invested in the system and trying to earn money out of the system instead of running a server farm somewhere drinking in all the electricity. You are getting it by participating in the democracy and being a part of the DAO. And that is like kind of revolutionary, I actually
Mhm.
really think. And I'm causing people to have that head exploding emoji over and over again as they sort of are like, hold on, wait a second. And I'm like, no, 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 it's fine. We'll go over this again because Ethereum has broken your brain about how these systems should work. And so that is, we've pushed aside so much of Web 2, but just server hosting is server hosting. We're pulling that out of that trash heap and bringing it with us with
Mhm.
ICP. And I think that's really key. And giving the power of the mining over to the people, right? And I think that's
Right.
really exciting too. Is we move that mining into being something that being invested in the system is not about running hardware and doing proof of work. It's about participating in the democracy and about having a voice in the system and future proofing ICP for growth into the future. Sorry, I'm all fired up
Yeah.
from that Bali sun, all close to the equator like this.
So yeah, Jesse, you're bringing up a good point, and I hadn't thought about it too much until just now. But within the internet computer community, we don't talk a lot about the fact that what we've done is separated out the consensus mechanism from the governance mechanism. So in Bitcoin mining, um, governance and consensus is all wrapped up into the mining activity. Proof of stake took that away and did more of a staking, right? So the people with the coins do both the consensus and the governance. But now within the internet computer, you have a governance system that's more the proof of stake side of things. But then the consensus mechanism, we've essentially moved away and said, look, you don't need the parties who are performing consensus do not need to be the people who have the tokens, right? It just has to be it's a technology solution, not a incentive based solution. So instead, they went with the idea of subnets, which actually has two things, right? So one, it's the consensus is now separate from staking, but also you now have multiple chains, right? So a subnet has its own chain, but two subnets don't have to share a chain, which just leads to scalability. And so yeah, to your point, we're within the crypto industry. We're focused on mining because that's been kind of like what the last decade has been about. But we're quickly shifting to where that term doesn't really mean what it used to mean, and it doesn't need to mean anything anymore because we're moving towards more of a scalable solution um, that doesn't require hardware. It doesn't. Well, I mean, it requires hardware, but it doesn't require mining in the traditional sense, or even proof of stake in the traditional sense. So,
Now I'm the one with the mind blown emoji because I'm going to take what you just said and I want to take it one step further. So instead of proof of work, where the person with the most energy wasting resources wins the most money, proof of stake just says people with the most money get to win the most resources. By moving into this new system and separating it out and using the NNS this way, and specifically with the follow neuron system, we create a space for a meritocracy where actually it can be a debate about ideas instead of just who has the most money. Now, obviously,
Mhm.
having money invested in the system is what gives you the ability to have that vote and, weigh it. But the follow neuron system really, I think, creates a unique opportunity for good ideas, right? The debate of ideas. And I think that piece is what makes the culture of ICP so interesting and so unique. Like, ICP doesn't have the toxic positivity problem that so many other spaces do. You go into any number of Telegram channels, and you've just got bots, endless bots, when moon, and all of this. And it's
Yeah.
all about when am I going to be rich? When am I going to be rich? And you go into an ICP space and you've got people arguing, really going to the wall with what the best technical implementation for a token standard is going to be in order to implement their ideas. And that is so unique in life, not even forget crypto. That's unique in life that there's,
Yeah.
I wish governments operate. Let's move governance, real governance, onto the NNS. I think it is genuinely breakthrough and really exciting that
Yeah.
the system can work this way.
And there's probably two good reasons for that. So one is that the token price didn't moon right off the bat, which I think means that we didn't attract moon boys, right, into the community. I think really because of the way the token price decreased for the first year, you get this situation where the people who are attracted to the project are attracted to it because the technology or they're for not they're not trying to make a quick buck. um,
The Moon
the
Boys are
sec
never gonna stake in the NNS anyway, right? So it's
Right,
like
right.
it's a real, self-selected group of people that are you have to be getting on board that minimum 6 months. That's a
Mhm.
real that's a lifetime in crypto. And, 8 years, you're just looking to the next epoch way off into the future, flying car territory as far as we're concerned.
Right, right. And that's the second reason why I think the why we're so long-term focused, or why we're so, interested in technology or proper governance or those kind of things, is because most of the participants are staked for 8 years, right? Most of the new ICP coming onto the NNS, it's something like 40% of it that comes onto the NNS is staked for 8 years. Another, like, let's say 20 or 30% is staked for 4 years. So pretty much all the new participants into this ecosystem are looking long term, and so you have that incentive to not just say, "Hey, what can we do to juice this price for the next 3 weeks so I can get my 10 bagger?" But rather, "Hey, I'm looking at this as 20 years from now. I want to just be living on my passive income from my 8 year neuron that's been fully staked for 2 decades." And so we're looking. I don't know. It is I mean, to your point, Jesse, it's a community that looks long term. It's very technical. It's very things should be done right, and we should take our time to get it done right. So,
And speaking of staking on the NNS, that's a perfect segue. Just
ooh,
just lining them right up, right? So I dropped into our show notes a tweet from Martin.icp stating over 3 million ICP has got staked in the last 24 hours for 8 years. Rewards estimate dropped to 20.6%. Something is coming. So I dropped that in. There's a couple links there. We'll put all of this in the show notes. You guys can see that in your podcast player of choice, or go to neuroticpod.com and you can see links everything we're talking about here. And so I put that in our show notes. And then you, classic Kyle here, went in and I just see a whole bunch of numbers here. So I think a little data analysis has happened. So, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready, Kyle. Lay some of that sweet, sweet Kyle data analysis on me.
yeah. So Martin pointed out that, hey, our APR for the 8 year gang had dropped from 20.8 to 20.6. So something's going on, and so I went and looked into it. There was really two, and I think actually Martin ended up underselling it. There's two things that happened. So on around May 19th, there was 3 million ICP that came into the NNS. Interestingly, it came in a neuron that's staked for between 1 and 2 years. I don't know what the neuron ID is, so I can't get the exact dissolve delay. But 3 million came in. In addition to that, around the same time, so I don't know if it's the same entity or not, but there was somebody who staked their ICP. They had 1.5 million ICP staked in a dissolving neuron that had less than a year left. And then on May 19th, so they staked that on May 5th. and then 2 weeks later decided, "Okay, let's bump this up." So they bumped up that neuron, to a 3 to 4-year neuron, so probably a 4-year neuron, and locked it. So those 2 things, so 3,000,000 new ICP came onto the NNS, and somebody who had staked earlier in the month, and was dissolving, decided, "All right, let's bump this up and let's commit." And another 100,000, ICP came out into 8-year neurons as well around that same time. So there's been a lot. I mean, May's been a great month for the NNS, and obviously over 4.5 million ICP has came to it. And if you remember, May is also the start of Zone 2, where we're only having like 3.6, 3.8 million coming off the NNS. So it's going to be a net positive month for the NNS in terms of the number of ICP in it.
All right, I got another pop culture reference for you here, but let's see if you get this one.
Okay.
It's an oldie but a goodie. Are you familiar with Plato's allegory of the cave?
Hmm.
Okay. So, in
That's not a pop culture reference, by the way.
it's just culture.
It's just that's philosophy there.
I feel like that's what's happening, right? There's all this activity happening, and that casts shadows, and that shadow is the activity on the NNS. And then you look at that, and you're able to kind of unwind what is going on here. So that's what I want to know. What's like the takeaway here? What is going on when Martin says something is coming? What's coming?
I don't know if something is coming, but so I've always thought that if the ICP price went down, we'd get more ICP on the NNS, and if it goes up, we're going to get less. Just because I think people think of the investment into the NNS in fiat terms. So like, oh, I'm going to bring $1,000 and buy some ICP and stake it on the NNS. Not I'm going to buy 1,000 ICP and stake it. So the lower the price, the more ICP they buy, the more they stake. Um, so I think that's going on. I also I imagine that's the bigger driver. Um, Obviously, it's great news for more ICP to come to the NNS. I'd like to see it coming in smaller chunks and more of them, because that might be a sign of decentralization. It does make me maybe a little bit nervous that there's 3,000,000 ICP that is most likely owned by one entity. But honestly, I mean, we're getting to that point where the NNS is going to, between moving into Zone 2 and the amount of ICP dissolving on the NNS decreasing, and the price being low right now, encouraging people to buy and stake on the NNS. I think we're going to start to transition into a period where the NNS is either neutral, as in the amount coming off is equal to the amount going on, or maybe even start transitioning into a point at a time where the NNS is almost like a vacuum and it's starting to suck up some of that circulating supply of the ICP. So I'm not saying like next month we're going to be going gangbusters, but I'm just saying this is a transition period, from a dark age to a more light age. So
Yeah, I attended a really interesting one of the events I went to here. I attended what turned out to be like an introduction to crypto investing presentation, which was fantastic. It was so good, and it really focused on the psychology. One of the quotes that he said that I thought was so good is money is called liquidity because it moves like water, and used the an analogy of, it's a puddle and the water is sloshing in and sloshing out, and the water
Mhm.
sloshes into crypto and then it sloshes back out into the dollar and sloshes in and sloshes out. And my big takeaway there was, again, as usual, not financial advice, but it's go time. Just when everyone has lost hope, then and everything seems like it can't get any worse, that is the time to put your money in. And he made, I thought, an extremely compelling argument that that is exactly where we are standing right now. And then when everyone is screaming we're going to live forever, and it is, we're getting that Lambo lease, that is when it is time to cash out your chips and take those profits, so that you're
Yeah.
not riding that wave. You ride the wave up, and then you take your profits, and you don't ride that wave all the way back down. And I found it to be a extremely compelling argument. And one of he talked at the beginning about the importance of utility, and then we didn't talk about utility again for the entire thing. We talked about
Mm.
psychology. We talked about where all the world's money lives in different places. And he pulled up a really, and again, I'll put links to all this stuff in the show notes, fascinating graph showing, here's, the money that's in the stock market in proportion to the
Mm,
entire world. And then you get to the derivatives, and it
yeah.
just goes on forever, and it's all
Yeah.
derivatives. And then you get to the end, and he's like, see this little teeny, like little single pixel? That's crypto. That's crypto, this teeny, teeny, teeny little corner. And so at the end of the presentation, I asked, like, we didn't talk, obviously coming from ICP, utility, utility, utility. We're all
Mhm.
very, very focused on utility. And I asked, what's the point of utility? You said it's so important at the beginning, and then we didn't talk about it again the entire time. And I thought his answer was really savvy, which was utility is what makes you survive a bear market. Utility is
Mm,
what prevents you from bottoming out. Utility is what prevents you from becoming Luna, right? The
mm,
ability to actually have something to fall back on. Utility is the safety net. That means when that trapeze, goes all the way down to the bottom, you're not falling at that point.
yeah,
You've got something. And so
yeah.
I am yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking at my bags right now and looking at that price point and thinking a lot about what I personally want to be doing, because I can't just live on tacos alone, man. You gotta live on
No,
a balanced diet of investment.
those Bali trips don't pay for themselves for sure.
That's true. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, things are very inexpensive here, but we'll come back to Bali in
Yeah,
just
we'll
a
come
minute
back.
here.
This isn't gonna surprise anyone. This is really well known, but not spoken in the crypto world, but there needs to be some sort of consolidation. We don't need 20,000 different chains, and, where there's for every single use case, there's, 15 different chains trying to do it. And so that utility is, I mean, you're describing it as a safety net, but it's also the anti-consolidation, right? So, if you're the only blockchain that does something and you do it really well, you're probably going to survive a deep crypto winter. And so, the internet computer running web and, really having having the reverse gas model, having all these unique features that aren't replicated throughout the crypto industry and are not easily replicated, at least, for on a time frame of, a few years. That's how you survive a crypto winter. And on the other side of the crypto winter, then is a lot less noise, right? There's a few chains that really survive, and they thrive in that new space, just the same way as like the .com bubble washed out all the pets.com and all these other crazy companies that didn't have an actual business model. And on the other side of that was the Amazons and the Google. Although it was Google was probably post.com bubble. But anyways, on the other side of that are these
Amazon was
companies.
pre-bubble though, right?
Amazon
And we
was like
talked we talked about
97,
the Jeff
98.
Bezos
Yeah.
letter to investors,
Yeah.
earlier in the podcast.
But, like an Amazon, if you don't have that .com bust, Amazon probably doesn't thrive, right? Because there's just too much noise.
Yeah.
So, they don't reach that escape velocity in terms of sales quick enough. And maybe they kind of putz along for a few years, but they're not the company they are today without the .com bust. So, um, that's
A
just some
good
food for
a good
thought.
analogy would be forest fires, right? So if we do 100% forest fire suppression and never let a single fire,
Mhm.
every fire that starts, we put it out, we put it out, we put it out, that creates the environment for a cataclysmic event. Where
Mhm.
instead controlled burn is really good. And in fact, trees like pine cones release their seeds in fire. In fact, that the fire
Mm.
is a natural purifying thing that comes through the space and clears out that underbrush because it's good and because it's natural. And that by having these dips and flows, that is actually what creates healthy growth over time, and the strong get stronger over because as a result of it, and literally fire hardened. Whereas if
Mm.
everything just goes forever, then it becomes overgrown, and that's when you get a fire that wipes out all of California, which
Yeah.
hopefully is not going to happen.
Well, you're not in California right now, so
Yeah, but my
you
house
probably
is,
you're
and
gonna
my
see the
family
smoke
and
from it.
friends are, and I'm going back there eventually,
Yeah, so
someday, maybe.
you'd like for
So,
there to still be some.
I'd
Yeah,
still
no,
like
it's
California to be there. My
that's I mean,
precious
that's a great
tacos.
analogy. Yes. Oh, speaking of which, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about tacos. I got my taco stickers.
Aw,
Thank you. Thanks
yay.
for sending me some taco stickers.
Yeah, and, thank you. So I made up a couple taco stickers. I threw a handful of them in the mail,
Mhm.
literally the day I left town, and then I've been waiting for the post op, but they took an alarmingly long time to reach people. But
Mm.
I'm really excited. I had to put a Motoko Pinata on one of
Oh,
them.
yeah, yeah.
It was
I
so
think I got 2. I
necessary.
think you gave me 2 of those,
You
so
shh, you got extra.
oh,
And so, yeah, and I wanna send out some stickers to some other people. I don't really know. This is where the internationalization of our community becomes a challenge because it's tough for me to send them all over, but I'm trying to figure out. I'm happy to drop st if people wanna if holders wanna dox themselves and they live in the United States, I'm very happy to slap a stamp on a letter and send some tacos out, but we'll have to figure out some way to get them distributed across Europe as well.
okay. Yeah, cool.
So
Yeah,
if you have
thank
any
you.
suggestions for how to solve that logistics problem, I'd be interested, I
I
guess.
think you need to go visit the Zurich offices,
Yeah,
and then, from there, you go to the post office and be like, "What do I need to pay you to get these to people?"
yeah. I'll just leave a stack of them on Dom's desk, and
There
people
you
can
go.
swing by and
Pick
collect
them
them
up.
there. So speaking of other good tweets, I sent you. I love this response. Classic Kyle again. I sent you a tweet from our good friend Cat Pirate, friend of the show, Cat Pirate, with his tweet "Nothing to see here," linking out to a new round of ASIMS spam proposals. And your response was, "Oh, great, more NNS proposals," which is something you're supposed to be excited about, but it feels like we might be hitting some sort of too much of a good thing happening here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting tired of having to log in every day or every 2 days just to vote on spam proposals, and so what YSIMS is proposing, which, so let me say 2 things. I'm annoyed
Kyle,
over it.
do you know about follow neurons? You don't have to log in every day.
Well, the problem is I'm part of this, maybe if ICP-MN had set up after all the spam, it'd be a lot easier, but, part of the agreement within ICP-MN is that we're not following other neurons. We're voting ourselves with using our own brains, so each of the 12 voting members are doing that.
Your strict ethical code of being
Yeah.
honest and doing the work is really getting in the way. That's why I just follow the Kyle neuron. That's my approach now.
YSIMS is encouraging people to vote, to follow his or her, neuron, and, yeah, it hasn't. I think I saw like it maybe has 100,000 voting power, which not too bad. I mean, you're guaranteed, since YSIMS is making when YSIMS makes a proposal, his neuron automatically votes for it as part of the way the NNS is designed. So if you do follow YSIMS neuron, you're automatically voting on all the spam, to the affirmative, which is actually not what you want to do because I think we all want these to be rejected, so we burn that 10 ICP. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. So what YSIMS is proposing is, hey, we've been doing 2 a day in May, which has a nice ring to it, and, in June, what he or she is thinking is maybe we want to ramp that up because we could get a slightly more, higher APR. There every time there's a governance proposal on a given day, it kind of makes the APR go up a little bit. There's a law of diminishing return in the sense that, going from 2 to 4 doesn't double your APR. It's much less. But what I do like, so I don't like that we're getting more spam, but I do like YSIM's approach of just, hey, I'm looking from the community to kind of tell me how many you want, how much spam do you want? And so what he or she did is said, okay, I'm trying to get, 8,000 ICP and I'll do 10 a day. And if I don't get 8,000 ICP, if I get this much, I'll do 9 a day. And if I get this much, I'll do 5 a day. And so there's this, decreasing amount that he's looking to get. And, so yeah, so we'll see what he's raised. I saw that there was 6 ICP that had been donated so far, which is well below, the goal. Also interesting is there's now a fee associated, and the, fee goes down with the less amount of donations. So, YSIMS is finally saying, "Look, this is work for me, and this is, as part of work, you should be paying me to put the spam out there." So it'll be interesting. I imagine the community will probably come back to that, like 2 spam proposals a day or maybe 3, but we'll see.
How many spam proposals would you like to see?
I'd like to see 0. And again, we have, proposals that have passed meant to eliminate the incentive for spam. It's just Definity's publicly stated we're focused on SNS deployment, and then we'll turn our attention to, um, these past proposals, which is fine. So for me, I'd like to say I'd like to see 0, but at the same time, I am enjoying my 40 or so percent APR, so, I don't know.
Spam's high in salt, and you can't eat it every day, but, a good
Like,
musubi, is,
every now and then, yeah.
yeah, you want that.
I imagine so he's got these different stages. I imagine either stage 6 or stage 7 will, be where they fall, so that's either raising uh, a little over 1100 ICP or almost 700 ICP. So we'll see. We'll see what it's really the whales who are donating the ICP to fund this spam. So we'll see what the whales decide for us.
Yeah, I actually really like the idea that, he or she is living in a, prison of their own making and complaining
Yeah.
about the amount of work and overhead, and that as the whales it started as this rebellion, and now, they're a functionary,
it's almost
working their
it's almost like it's good.
middle management on the NNS. NNS farming is, it's hard but honest work, and it's tough out there. Life of a farmer is really really tough, and so
Mhm.
I think it's good that getting some hands-on labor experience here.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, Y Sims stated he or she was a high schooler, so maybe this is a good introduction to how the world works. Where the when you're a revolutionary, you succeed, you become the man, and that's kind of what we're seeing here, right? Is his little revolution has now turned him into this procedural based and golden handcuff system. So.
You either die a hero or live long enough to become a follow neuron. That's
That's exactly what Spider-Man said, right?
that's no, Spider-Man said with great power comes great tedious paperwork.
This is so true.
I like, yeah, I like the idea. So, YSIMs, we're gonna need those TPS reports on my
Yes.
desk by Monday.
I
So,
wonder I wonder if these whales will start expecting, like, "Hey, how did you do last week? Show me some metrics." You gotta justify your existence and all that, you know?
hopefully, just doing the YSIMs data analysis will become a routine part of your own workload as well, and you can provide, if it, I look forward to their quarterly review,
Yeah.
and
The one thing that kinda annoys me about this is, his
the
fee
one
rate.
thing that annoys
The
you
one
about
thing. This is the only thing, and again, this
this.
comes down to, like, I feel like people should do things a certain way, and it annoys me when it's not, but his fee rate, starts at 100%. So if he were to get 4,800 ICP, um, he would do 8 proposals a day, but out of that 4,800, 2,400 would go to him. So 100% of the or 50, I should say 50% of the total donation goes to him, and that percentage goes down depending as he gets less and less and less donations, which to me seems like it should go backwards. You should do the percentage should go up and up so that he's basically trying to, kind of like moderate his income from this. So and I apologize. I keep saying him, but it obviously could be her as well. But
We should go back and check those posts to see if there is actually an answer. I mean, I can't believe a woman is doing something this obnoxious. I refuse to. It has to be our terrible gender that's
yeah, our
responsible for
gender.
this.
The yeah. So anyway, so why Sims, if you're listening to this, I wish you would have consulted me on the fee rate because I think we could have optimized this a little bit more to make it actually more profitable for you.
All right, Sims, if you're looking for a partner, Kyle is open. Yeah, normally it's me that's like completely switching around my perspective, but I feel like you're like, yeah, I've been thinking about it and I'm ready to start farming. Kyle's got his farming hat on. You're ready
I'm
to go work those cows.
I'm gonna launch my own crowdfund, but I'm just gonna undercut the fee percentage. So now we're gonna have a little bit of competition for the who gets to spam the NNS.
Yeah, yeah, I think that again, I like the idea that it's like, you get caught he's been caught smoking a cigarette, so we make him smoke the whole pack, you
Yes.
know?
Ah, that's such it's just perfect life. That's exactly how life is.
Well, if you're gonna reach out to Y Sims and make this proposal to start a partnership, I think the way to do it would be using District's new in-app messaging.
Boom, what a great
Yeah, you like
transition
that?
there.
You like that? I feel like if we call it out, it's less special, but I'm still proud of that one.
Yeah, so District is announced that they've got in-app messaging now, and so person-to-person messaging is live. You do have to update if you've downloaded their iOS app or Android app. You have to update to have that functionality. But there's a nice video. I think we'll link to it that they posted to Twitter and on how it works. And yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's like one of those it's like the meat and potatoes of this kind of DApp development, and, as District keeps adding features and started out as sort of a proof of concept, and as they keep building out and adding things, these are the kind of, like, mainstream features I'm really excited seeing coming to these platforms. I know everyone else is like,
Yeah.
When's my token standard?" And I'm like, "Yes, messaging." Classic old-fashioned messaging. But these
Yeah.
are Go ahead.
So yeah, like you said, it's the meat and potatoes. Because District has always been it. They've always been a LinkedIn clone. That also I feel like they're also kind of like a Twitter. They're like a weird hybrid between the two, but both of those have direct messaging, so this fits in there. What I really will be looking forward to seeing is how that then plays out in the Web3 world. So it's not just like a clone, but how are they planning to integrate some of the advantages of the internet computer into that? And for like example, open chats pushing out code that lets you basically send money through a chat, send Bitcoin through a chat, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I completely agree. These are the kind of foundational features that we need in order to build out, these breakthrough apps, because these things don't come fully formed, ready to go. And I would never recommend to a developer to put years of their lives into something without showing it to people and getting them to
right,
use it. You have to put it out there and see how people are using it. And now they can start to build in more specific, airdrop features, more specific features that take advantage of the blockchain, more specific features that build into the ICP base that they have running underneath it. But yeah, really excited. Congrats to the entire district team. I'm really looking forward to learn more about what they're doing there.
again, that you look back to a year ago, and they've really morphed that product. A year and 2 weeks ago, that product I think was called Can Can or
Hmm.
Tom Tom or something where it was two words
Can
together,
can yeah, yeah.
Can Can, and they've really just flourished it from that proof of concept to more of like this is an actual viable product now. So, yeah, kudos to the district team.
I'm excited to see what's coming next out of them. All right, let's do a little Ask Neurotic here. I've got a fun question. I really like this one. Kyle, out of curiosity, how many IC internet identities do you have, and what are some of the reasons for their average user to have more than one?
I feel like that's a personal question, Jesse.
It is a personal question. Would you like me to go first to make you feel a
I
little
can
more
I can go first.
comfortable?
No, 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 no. I have 2. I
I have
had
2 as
1.
well.
Ah,
Yeah.
twinsies.
I've got one for, my public one and then one for my secret family.
You have a secret family?
No, what are you
Oh,
talking
okay.
about?
Which family is there with in Bali with you? Is it your secret family or your real family?
No, the one I post on Instagram about. The baby is so cute. She can't
Yeah.
be can everywhere she
You gotta
goes,
keep
everyone
her.
just falls in love with her. It's kind of I actually posted I sent you a picture of her with the caption of, "Miss coming to steal your seed phrase," because she's just looking right into the camera.
I mean, if she asked for my C phrase, I'd be like, "Here you go. Just
Yeah, yeah,
this is for you,
whatever
sweetheart."
whatever you want. The problem is she would eat half of your seed phrase and then stick the other into one of her she has one of those, little you've got, like, 100 kids, so you're familiar with the,
Yeah.
it's like a little cup with a little sort of star-shaped lid that you put, like, Cheerios in and
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that and
yeah,
things like
yeah.
that,
Like a
so
it's a flexible lid.
yeah,
Like
flexible
you can
lid,
get
but,
your
like,
hand in,
she's
yeah.
able to, like, put her hand in and then grab things and make a giant fist so big she can't pull it out
Oh, yeah.
like a bear, and so she likes to store more things in there than she likes to take food out, and so, like,
Oh,
we'll be
okay.
at a restaurant, and I'll give her a piece of my salad, and she will lick the salad dressing off and then put the lettuce into the cup,
Like
and
a
we're
trash
like, "This
can?
Yeah, or saving it for later, like, for the cold crypto winter, I'm gonna need this salad
The
later.
salad.
It's, like a yeah, we're raising a chipmunk is what I'm trying to say.
She's out there squirreling away her acorns.
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
scrolling away her acorns, that's half of my seed phrase. How did you know?
oh, no. So the seed phrase brings up a good point on this question is that you probably don't want so many internet identities that you're struggling to remember either your anchor ID or your seed phrase. You need a management system for those two things. Because I do have a buddy who I got into the IC and he lost his anchor ID, and that's actually not great for you when you lose that. So you kind of do need that. And I think he did get it resolved. I think actually Definity helped him. Get it resolved, or maybe he found it somewhere as like a Google saved, you know, text field or something like that. But anyways, I have two. One is for my 8-year neuron and Stoic wallet is connected to it. And then the second one is for my ICP-MN neuron. So that neuron's public information. So I have those two things separate. But that's I don't plan on doing more than two, unless like I become a giant whale and I don't want to put all my eggs into one internet identity. I want to separate them out into two or three. But the idea of managing multiple IDs and multiple seed phrases and all that, having to connect devices, and if you get a new phone, you got to now add it to 4 or 5 different IDs. That doesn't appeal to me. So,
Yeah, I think always a good time to mention good security hygiene. Please, please, please log in a backup device onto your internet identity account so that if your phone gets stolen, if your phone gets lost, if whatever your phone gets thrown into the ocean and swallowed by Kyle the whale, uh, it is always good to have because you're going to need that backup device in order to add your new device back in. So if you only have that one device, you could end up in a bad, bad place. Um, Interesting to learn that you use internet identity to log into your Stoic wallet. I use a seed phrase actually
do you
for
really?
my main. Yeah, it's because I think it's because I actually created the wallet before I had created a
Oh
internet
yeah.
identity. Oh no, I know what it is. It was before I'd upgraded my computer, and I was on an old computer that didn't have biometrics on it.
Oh, I
And
gotcha.
so I'd
Yeah.
created it from that a computer originally, and then, just the inertia of it. I
Yeah.
mean, it does just make me happy knowing that I can share that little bit of information, but know that the rest of my security is strong enough that I can share that tidbit without this is not an invitation to attempt to hack me. Please don't hack me. Um, but that knowing that you've got those pieces there. And
Hmm.
so, no, I also have to, but for way less useful reasons. I have my main internet identity. That's my core doing business on the internet. I use it to log into the NNS and things like that. And then I have my second one, which was the one I created for making a video. Because I did that how to stake on the NNS in
Oh, that's
60
right. That's right.
seconds video. And I didn't want to even though I was at recording and editing it and had full control over it, I did not want to use any real information. I didn't wanna show I didn't even wanna record the real number into the video, and so I created a separate, uh, internet identity account, which I then I think I moved, like, 1.5 ICP or 2 ICP into, and then I staked for 8 years, and I actually now that I'm thinking about it, that is definitely only connected to one device, and I should go ahead and make sure I have, like, at least the basics. I kinda think that ICP might be gone forever, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about that with my ICP-MN internet identity. So, and just to be clear, if somebody were to learn your anchor ID, that's not the end of the world. Um, it's probably a good use case, a good best practice to not let people know that, because that is one level of security that you can maintain. And then that way, like if you were to lose your device, if somebody get control of your device or your seed phrase, they still wouldn't have that other piece of information that they would need, which is the ID to use to log in. So,
Yep, and just a reminder to always practice good security hygiene, not security through obscurity, not, depending on
mhm.
dumb luck or something like that. Make sure you have your seed phrase stored in physical, safe locations whenever possible. Use internet identities, biometric security. If your computer does not have biometric security, YubiKeys are very reasonably priced and a great way to add that functionality to a computer. And I hope more apps take advantage of internet identity. There's a little bit of like a cultural piece where I feel like the seed phrase has become such a key part of the MetaMask experience that everyone expects that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love internet identity, and the more I use it, I think it's one of those kind of stealth killer features on ICP that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, and I think it's probably gonna only get better because you have things, you have these products that are being built on top of it to make the user experience much better. So that's the one critique on internet identity. It's a lot of clicks to log in, and I think there's new products coming out that are going to be built on top of that. So that I mean that's a clear sign, um, when you see companies deciding to build on top of the internet identity, not rebuild the entire identity functionality. Is that's probably the back end is really good, and it's just the user experience that they're going to be working on.
I agree. Well put.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I mean, and just to echo what you were saying, because there's been a very public case where somebody stole, I can't remember if it was $1.5 million or 1.5 million ICP from a company. There was a company that invested in ICP, had their ICP staked in a neuron. I think it was even an 8-year neuron, and they were using a YubiKey, and somebody else at the company took the YubiKey, got the Anchor ID, went home and put their own devices on the account, and then essentially kicked off all the company's devices, and then fled the state or fled the territory or something like that. And so now that company lost control of their neurons, and I can't remember what the resolution for that is, but I think it might have just been, sorry, you left your YubiKey sitting out, and they took it and had all the information they needed. So
Yeah, don't leave your YubiKey sitting out. And if you do, uh, be set up on multiple computers. So have it on your phone and there, so you could always go cancel from that one from your main device. You also have the ability to shut down that other device as well.
cool.
Let's do some recommendations, Kyle.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? What do you got this week? What do you got to recommend?
All right, so I'm going a little bit more intellectual. I think I did Arrested Development last time, which is
Very
I don't
intellectual. I just a
er,
strong
actually,
disagree.
yeah. I didn't even say it before you disagreed. No, it's very intellectual, but it's humor. Instead, I'm going with a book by Anthony Doerr or Doerr something. But it's All the Light We Cannot See. So it's historical fiction about World War II, and it's got two main characters. One is a young girl who's blind, and she's part of occupied Paris. And so kind of like her experience of World War II through the occupation. And then there's a young boy who's into like radio and stuff. He's in the German side, and so kind of like his experience of getting involved with the Nazis and what that might have been like. And it's just this beautiful story. The imagery that uh, Anthony Doerr brings to it is just phenomenal. It's a hefty read, but it's 100% worth your time. It's a phenomenal book.
Just out of curiosity, how do you read? Do you buy a paperback? Do you go to the library? Do you use a Kindle? Do you do Audible? I still call it book on tape. I feel like that really dates how old I
No,
am when I
yeah.
call it book on tape.
I used to, so this book I read,
Mhm,
it may have been one of the last few books I've actually physically read, and
mhm.
for the last, like, 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's been almost 100%, book on tape. So
Mhm.
I can rent them from my local library, and download them onto my phone, and so, you have, like, unlimited options for books to listen to.
I think that's maybe a little I'm gonna slip in a little side plug here, but, using your local library's digital resources is
Mhm.
incredible. It is totally underrated by a lot of people what you can get access to for free. You can check out ebooks digitally, for free. There's some really cool e-readers that you can use, like a Kubo, that compete with the Amazon Kindle. And then there's even the Los Angeles library has a whole video library that you can actually rent movies on as well. So that's cool. My wife loves audiobooks and, specifically we do a lot of like comedians books, things like that, Tina Fey's books, things along those lines, but we really enjoy them, especially for like long drives and things like that. It's really compelling to have something. little long format when, not that, I love a good podcast, but sometimes you just want something you can really sink your teeth into a little more.
Yeah, I mean, and the medium is different because it's something that they've thought through and put months and months and months of research and effort into. Whereas a podcast, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that we've only been thinking about these things for like a week or two, so
I don't know what you're
you don't
talking about.
get
I've been
quite the
preparing for this for years.
this specific
This
episode.
specific episode. Yeah. What did I mean, sure, it sounded like I was shooting from the hip on the, but I've been working on that since the seed investment, actually.
2018, you had this idea of like, I'm going to do a taco NFT because on episode 12, we're going to talk about the stickers.
I mean, sitting there eating a taco being like, NFTs haven't been invented yet, but when they are, I am ready. Well, speaking of food, my recommendation this week is Indonesian food, which is something I
Ooh.
really did not know much about before getting here, but I am really loving and really enjoying. And I find food is such an exciting, interesting way to get to know a culture and really learn about a culture. So, have you ever had Indonesian food?
I don't know. Can you like describe it for me? Because maybe I have, but I just never knew.
Yeah,
Is it noodle based?
it's noodle and rice. You see noodles and rice, and
Okay.
so um, it is Southeast Asian cuisine, and, when you travel around
Similar to like
Southeast.
Thai?
Kinda. One of the things that I really love about traveling around this part of the world is as you travel around, there's national borders, but the cultural borders aren't necessarily aligned one to one with those borders, right? And so as you travel around Thailand, as you get closer to the Indian border, the food becomes more Indian. And so we think of it as being like this sort of very strict, this place is like this place is like this, but it's actually much more of sort of a gradient of evolution as you go
Yeah.
around. So there's a ton of sort of what we think of as Thai influence. There is a lot of the food is large halal and a lot of Indian influence as well. So like last night for dinner, I had a chicken satay dish, which was super interesting and really cool. They were grilling little teeny chicken skewers and then putting like a very, very spicy peanut sauce on it that they glazed and burned it on, and then dumped more
Ooh.
peanut sauce on top of it. And they served it with, I've never seen rice served this way. They steam rice in banana leaves and then chill it, and the rice is served cold, and they actually open up the banana leaves and cut it with a knife, and so you have these sort of, it's kind of a little bit like Thai sticky rice a little bit in that way, and then you like dip that in the spicy peanut sauce, and so kind of like, classic Thai chicken
Mhm.
satay, but also nothing like classic Thai chicken
Ooh.
satay.
Sounds good though.
Yeah, and so all the local Indonesian food, usually that meal for Indonesian food is running, but somewhere between 10 and 40,000 rupiah, which requires a fair bit of math. I could really use
Okay.
you and your quick brain to help me with those calculations around here. So 10,000 rupiah is about 70 cents. So the average
Okay.
Indonesian meal is going to run you between $1 and $2.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
and then one of the dishes I'm really loving is called nasi campur, and it is a combo plate.
Mm.
It's an Indonesian combo plate, and so they have what are called warungs, which are you go up to, and they're absolutely everywhere, and you go up to them and it's basically like a deli counter with maybe 20 different dishes in all these different bowls, huge supply of vegan food everywhere,
Okay.
tofu, tempeh, you'll see all of those represented everywhere, a lot of beef rendang, which is like a stewed beef chili kind of dish, really good. And
Ooh.
you
I'm looking
build a
at
little you
pictures right
build
now and it
yeah, you
looks
build
good.
your own little combo plate, and they charge you by the piece, but that's gonna be like $1.50 for that plate of food, and so you get
Jeez.
to just take little bites and taste all these different things, and it's served with your, a lot of them have choices of what type of rice. They have like a aromatic yellow coconut rice that's really, really good, and then there's also just street food vendors everywhere, and they've got all these, this country runs on mopeds and like little scooters.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so there are people with full on soup restaurants mounted on the back of a scooter. And they kind of go around and you flag them, and they'll just pull over next to you, and they have a couple gallons of boiling chicken soup in the back, and so they'll boil the noodles to order, they'll cut up some greens into the noodles while they do it. I had this amazing soup. You close your eyes, and it tastes exactly the same as Vietnamese, chicken pho. Like,
Mm,
really, really, and so I've been loving the food here. It has been super fun and interesting and, lots of variation and different stuff. They get a lotta white tourists that are not so interested in the spice, so they've been very impressed as I
mm,
keep asking for more
more and
sambal.
more.
Yeah, more sambal. And then the official national dish, or the official dish of Bali is roasted suckling pig, and so
Mm,
you'll get that, and that's similarly served. You'll get a plate with shredded suckling pig, crispy chicharron, I think some sort of like air dried, as well, and then, like just like Mexican chicharrones served with it as well. And I'll come with a little plate of rice, usually like one or two skewers as well. So like the variety is really included. And
mm.
then so much of this food is available to go. And so
Oh,
it'll
like
come
walking
wrapped
around
in
food.
you get like a banana leaf. I know I'm making myself hungry. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm gonna go
Jeez.
get something right after this. That'll come wrapped in a banana leaf, or sometimes they use paper, and they'll put the rice in the bottom, and then like 8 different little individual bites of food go all around on top of that. And so it's
Mm.
really kind of a fun little adventure, and
Oh,
a
man.
fair bit of spice, and, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. A lot of curry kind of based stuff, but the variety. And so, Indonesia is made up of, over 100 individual islands, which
Mhm.
now there's the official language of Indonesian, which everyone speaks, but each island also has its own language historically. And Bali specifically, really culturally interesting, where Indonesia is a Muslim country,
Mhm.
overwhelmingly Muslim, but Bali is really unique in terms of being Hindu and being largely
Oh.
Hindu. And so, and there's a shared history with Java, whereas the Muslim culture came into Java, the Hindus fled to Bali and moved to Bali. And so
Mm.
Bali is something like, I think, 80% Hindu. And so as you go around, you can tell which different food places are serving which culture. And so if they have beef on the menu, it's halal. And if they have pork on the menu, it's Hindu. And
Oh,
so you get a
interesting.
really interesting blend of different cultures. And then on top of that, this, especially the area we're in, is lousy with Australian style, cafes. I have had fantastic coffee here. I'm having great coffee. I had a chia seed bowl with frozen strawberries and chocolate this morning. There's a real culture, and that's part of the, digital nomad culture we were talking about at the beginning here, because it's a
Mhm.
very tourism-based country. But yeah, food has been super interesting and really exciting here. I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome because like, I live outside the DC area, and we have a lot of really good, Indian food, a lot of good pho.
Ethiopian food in DC is what I really love there.
Yeah, there have I do
I'll
know.
send you some recommendations.
No. I've eaten Ethiopian a lot. I'm just thinking the restaurants that I know of did not survive the pandemic.
Mm,
That's why I was, like, kind of dragging it out. But anyways, a lot of pho. We have a lot of pho
mhm.
and a lot of Thai food, a lot of Indian food, and it sounds like, Bali is this great, like, hot, melting pot of all of those, which makes sense because 'cause they're all, more in that region, but just all that great food, um, in one, so
Well, people love to, like, rail against fusion, right? Fusion's the worst. Everyone is sort
why?
of,
Why
yeah.
would people rail against that?
Well, because it
As
feels.
if food has to be static.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Is all food is fusion, and when you go places that sort of have this natural blending of different cultures, it's so exciting. And the point I always like to make is, do you know where tomatoes come from originally?
No.
Tomatoes are North American. So,
Ah,
tomatoes are native to North America, and
so what we
now
associate with Italy,
so
right?
Italy
Or
did
Spain.
not have tomatoes before Europe, quote unquote, discovered the New World. And so, just in your head, there are hundreds of years of Italian cuisine with no
The
tomatoes.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
Italian cuisine is, fusion, is the argument I'm now apparently making,
Okay.
which seems like it's going to be significantly, more controversial than my, hot dog is a taco take.
I love that on this podcast, all our controversial takes have nothing to do with the internet computer. It's always like food related or something. So
Yeah, exactly.
except for when I encouraged Sims to change his fee model for more profitability. But
Be careful, man. I think you might have stumbled into Kyle's house of spam. I'm ready to invest, man. Let's line up some VC pitches. I'm ready to stake my Kyle coin and get the
nice.
spam rolling here.
We should let's you want to wrap up this podcast because I for the after show I want to hear more about Bali.
Yeah, man, let's cue the outro music. Yeah, what can I tell you about Bali?
Yeah, so tell me tell me are how in like is it a city? Are you in a city? Are you in the rural country? Where are you at on that?
So, it's an island, you know.
Well, I know that, but
Yeah. So
islands can be made of either rural or industrial or
It
urban.
has all of these things. So I've been here about a week right now. We've been staying in a town called Canggu,
Okay.
which is really known as sort of a bohemian surf town. So super,
Ooh.
super popular with surfers, and is specifically popular for the digital nomad culture. So I've been working, well, it's a working vacation. I'm still, working with you. I'm on Twitter all the time, at my weird, other side of the world hours. And I've been I'll send you a picture right now. So I went
You
to,
mentioned the other world hours. You've communicated with me a few times where I'm like, it's got to be like 2 a.m. there. Like, what is
Mhm.
Jesse doing responding to my my DM?
Jet lag is a
Yeah.
real thing.
Have you adjusted yet?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much there, but we're hitting. I mean, uh, so when the first, I'm gonna hold on. Let me do the math here. So for most of this week, it has been 108 degrees Fahrenheit high most days,
Oh,
which is
geez.
42.2 degrees
So
Celsius. Because most people I tell that to, and they're like not impressed. They're like, "What is that in Celsius?" And then I tell them what it is in Celsius, and then they're like, "Oh God, no, 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 no." So yeah, it's hot. It's hot here, is what I'm trying
sounds
to.
hot.
It's hot. So hot right now. And so, we tend to get up pretty early in the morning, especially with the baby. We'll go out,
Mhm.
some activities, then come home for that, like, midday nap, little swim, and then head back out in the evening. And so it
Is that kind of the culture? Is it since it's so hot, is it usually like early morning and then late evening and then the like you have like siesta time in the afternoon or
I mean, that's my culture is siesta
okay.
time, but I think they all seem fine with it. Everyone else doesn't seem to be sweating quite as profusely as I am. It's
Okay.
exposing. I thought California was hot, and I'm really learning a lesson about it, what real hot is.
What about humidity? Is it a dry heat or is it are you talking like Southern Georgia heat right here?
Well, you're a whale, Kyle. You're used to living in the ocean, swimming through water, and that's kinda what it's like. It's actually been a torrential downpour today,
Okay.
which, also the traffic is actually, like, really crazy. It makes me miss Los Angeles traffic. That's how bad it is.
Really?
I've spent an alarming amount of time, in cars getting around, but most people don't use cars to get around. Everything is about the scooters. And
Okay.
so it's been Jesse on the back of scooters, riding around, holding on to a little Balinese guy who's taken.
Eating your soup.
Yeah, well, no, that the soup gets the Jesse spot, on the back of the scooter, but I've become quite comfortable. We haven't rented our own scooters. We're just relying on, especially with the baby and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we rely on the scooters to pick us up and get us around, but everyone just uses scooters to get around, and so you can call one just like an Uber, basically, and a guy
Hmm.
comes, you just jump on the back, and that ride is between, like, 70 cents and a dollar most times,
Jeez.
maybe $1.50 depending on how far you're going. But it's a small island, and so it either take what it feels like it's been is it either takes 5 minutes to get somewhere, like, pretty close, or it is an hour, and those are the only
Okay.
two times. but you can basically cross the entire island in about 90 minutes, 2 hours, give or take.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
so
so
all
it's a
the
smaller island than I thought.
yeah, and all the tourist areas line the shores, and then as you go inland, you're gonna get away from all that. So, in the center of the island is a town called, Ubud, which is the cultural center of the island, and so we're actually gonna go there soon, which I'm really, really excited about,
Mm.
to go visit there. There seems to be a lot going on there, and so, we've been staying in Canggu, and then we just moved for a couple days. We're going I'm trying to treat my wife right, so we're gonna do a few nights in a resort and let her
Oh,
kick
nice.
back and really enjoy it, and so we've actually, some of the different, events we've gone to have been hosted at different resorts around the area. So, well, we went to a, resort called Potato Head, last night, and, I spent the afternoon, swimming in an infinity pool with a swim up bar, and let me tell you, man,
Oh,
there is
man.
nothing I love more than a swim up bar with
Yeah.
there's a stool built into the pool, and the stool is
Okay.
actually underwater, right?
Right,
And so
right.
when you're sitting at the bar, you're in the water at that level.
That might be peak relaxing,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
got all your needs taken care of in that one spot.
Yeah, and they've really got it figured out. So you open a tab, and they took my driver's license and my credit card and kept both physical cards and
Mhm.
gave me like a bracelet with a number on it, and that
Okay.
number is my tab. And so that's how you literally swim up to the bar with that and do that. And so there's a whole bunch of different resorts and things like that. But for us, like my personal interest is like, when you travel to places like this, if you're hanging out with Americans, you're in the wrong place, is
Right, right.
my personal feeling. And so really trying to meet locals, find out what locals are eating, find out what locals are doing, and engage, get to know the sort of more real Bali,
Mhm.
not just the little tourist bubble. It's hard to break out of it, right? And try and get out of my comfort zone and experience new exciting things because we're on the other side of the world, and
Yeah.
it offers a lot.
Right, right. But it's I mean, it's work, right? Like your brain has to work hard to try to understand like the cultural norms, the currency conversion on everything you're trying to buy, the language, when you're trying to read a street sign or, just simple things like when you enter a building, do you go left or right, right? Like in America, you naturally are supposed to go right when you enter a building or walk on the right side of a hallway, things like that. So if you're supposed to go left, you're literally just running right into people who are like, what are you doing?" So, those kind
Yeah,
of
the
things.
traffic flow is reversed, so it's more it's the England style with the opposite of what we're
Mm,
used to, but that is, like, just a suggestion, really.
okay.
The
It's
everything
really more
goes
just free.
where yeah, it's more of a chaotic flow kind of approach to it. Crossing the street is very exciting, but, Bali's great. Highly recommend it,
Cool.
is what I would say. It
I'm
is,
so jealous.
yeah, yeah. I'm posting, picture I'm trying to keep my professional Twitter account, not too jealousy inducing, but my personal Instagram account, I just let it
Just
all go. And
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
all just food pictures and here's what I'm eating. So I posted, a nice picture of like a really fun dish that I had. It was the packet with like all the different stuff in it and a skewer, and then I like labeled each of the individual dishes that was in there too. And by the time I finished labeling it,
Mm.
I'm like running out of space on Instagram stories because there's so many little different components in there.
Oh,
Uh
man. That's your next NFT.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, food here really good. People incredibly warm and welcoming and excited. I mean, it's a
Oh,
very
nice.
tourist driven. It was a Dutch colony, I believe. So we see a
Right.
lot of English, but then you see there are little Hindu shrines absolutely everywhere. Like every house,
Mm.
family compound basically has like a Hindu shrine. And then every morning there are small offerings in front of every business and dotting the doorsteps. And so I'll put up a couple pictures in the
Okay.
show notes for this, but you wake up and you go out and there's these little banana leaves that'll have like flowers and then a piece of burning incense and like a cookie and sometimes like a
Oh.
cigarette or something like that. But it's
Oh, that's
just
interesting.
it's a very, the sort of spirituality. I just love the place. It just contains multitudes, right? And it has
Hmm.
highly it's sort of in conflict with each other, but that tension is what creates such interesting space. And so the Muslim culture, the tourism culture, the Hindu culture, the food culture, the history of colonialism here, their own independence, all of these pieces overlap in such interesting ways. And that's what makes it a place worth visiting. And I get to stay here for such a long time and really get to know it, which is really
Right.
fun.
That's the thing. Yeah, you're not there just for a week, and in which case, if you're only somewhere for a week, it's hard to really get to know the culture rather
Yeah,
than
and we're really, the way we like to travel, I really dislike that like move every 2 days, try and
yeah,
hit every place. I don't like spending all my time. I like to kind of settle into a place, like pick a local breakfast spot and we just go
yep,
there every day and be
yeah,
a regular, in
yeah.
these new places and get to know things.
You were talking about like how the food is meant to go, and that I mean that just is so appealing to me. Like whenever I'm somewhere new, I love to just all I want to ever do is just walk around the city or the town. I don't, just walk down the streets. And if I have food in my hands, like local food in my hands while I'm doing that, then that's heaven. That was how I would want to spend my eternity.